So I don't know if this is recording or not, but I've just left the house here. It is the Saturday before Christmas, and all through the town. No, but this is my last work day, so we're on the 23rd today. Yes, on the 23rd, and I've got about a half day at work, which isn't too bad. But I spend about, let's say, 45. Oh, sorry, I had to avoid sneezing there. I spend about 45 minutes driving to work and then a 45-minute drive home. Sometimes less on a Saturday because the traffic isn't as busy. But yeah, I thought I'd take you all along for the ride. So I don't really have anything obviously new that's happened to me in the last... I've been awake for like an hour. So that's nothing really interesting to talk about. However, I did have a rather interesting experience last night. So I just, finished up with my day, headed over to the gym, did my workout, wearing a singlet. I train mostly in a shirt if I'm doing any of the big three movements, and then in a singlet for everything else. It's weird. I can't do any sort of bench squat or deadlift in a singlet, and I can't do accessory work for like everything else, all the fluffy stuff, in a shirt. So I have to like double layer each time. It's ridiculous. But anyway, wearing my singlet, went out, needed fuel. All right, fair enough. On the way home from the gym, there's a petrol station right close to where I work out. Excellent, duck in there. Get my fuel, fill up the fuel tank, go in, and this was about like maybe 8 o'clock. So I just wanted to get home. I got to work early on a Saturday morning, so I wasn't keen to like wait around heaps. Anyway, there was this Asian couple in front of me, and they didn't speak a whole lot of English, from what I gathered. They might have been fluent and just faking it, but who knows? They didn't speak a whole lot of English. That's what it appeared. So I've got in there, stood behind them in the line. The guy behind the counter is saying, "Oh, yep, that'll be," I think it was like $20.07 or something, like one of those people who don't balance it out exactly to $20, which is another topic itself. But $20.07. Anyway, the woman goes up, young couple as well, no older than about 24, right? Both of them. The woman goes up, she taps her card. Big beep, denied for sort of no payment, accounts overdrawn, whatever. Fair enough. The guy says, "Oh no, a bit of discussion." This is taking a couple of minutes by now. The guy says, "Oh no, I couldn't understand anything they were saying." Puts his card on. Denied again. So no money. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to sneeze. Anyway, so as I was saying, that early morning hay fever is pretty intense. But as I was saying, the guy's gotten up. He's busted out his card. Obviously in whatever language he was speaking, he's been like, "Nah, babe, I got this." Put his card down, embarrassingly rejected. So this sparks a massive conversation, frantic conversation. The guy behind the counter wasn't even like, "Oh, you guys gotta pay, or there's gonna be trouble. We're gonna go back there and break your shins." Like he was just like, he just looked like he was done. Like that dude needed a holiday. He was like, "Christmas is coming. I just want to get out of here." Quite frankly, I was getting a little bit agitated because at this point it had been like 3 minutes of standing there, and usually you go into a service station, someone might pick something up from the counter or something like that, and it's like a 90-second maximum thing that people should be at the counter. That is that polite amount of time. Anyway, there's this big conversation going on, and they're jumping on their phones, and they're like, no one can understand anything except for them, right? So they're having this total internal private discussion / argument / panic. I have no idea what was happening. I was just trying to read the room, right? So at this point it approaches about the 5-minute mark because they're just talking there, and your boy loses his temper. Like, not in a negative way. When I say that, and when I get incredibly frustrated, but I'm never outwardly aggressive. So with that in mind, I just sort of push straight through both of them. They're both on their phones, checking cars, looking at each other's cars. I don't know what the hell they're doing. But I just put my pay pass down and just on top of the machine and just like get it done. You know, $20.07. It honestly didn't matter enough to me to care. I was just like, get out of my way. Let me pay for my fuel. I want to go home. You know, like I ain't got nobody waiting for me back there, but bloody hell, I just need to get out of this situation because I am bored, I'm frustrated, and I need to eat. I'm hungry as hell. I just finished gym. Anyway, these two, instead of being like, oh, thanks, or like, you know, any semblance of gratitude at all, just sort of like looked at me, and they were like, and then they looked at each other, and then they just walked away. like, okay, so I wasn't doing that for, you know, oh, you know, praise me, I'm so benevolent and generous, but come on, like, you could have at least said something along the lines of like Merry Christmas or some shit, like, and as they were walking out, I've looked back at them. The dude's looked at me like someone's just shot a cat in front of him. Like he was livid at the lack of thank you or emotional response that I got, which to be honest I didn't even care. But the principle of it was kind of irritating. So I've turned back and I've been like, yeah, no problems, you're welcome. And they've looked at me and they've pointed at me and yelled angrily something that I couldn't understand, and then both stormed out. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, the old mate wasn't going to have to bloody detain you over $20 worth of fuel. I mean, he probably would have just waived it, honestly, if they couldn't pay it. Like, this guy seemed pretty reasonable. But, for God's sake, like, have some bloody manners. Like, unbelievable. I mean, yeah, it was a selfish reason I did that for. I wanted to go home and I didn't care for waiting behind them in line, but still, you know, that's one of them their random acts of kindness-ish. Like, it came from a selfish place, but it meant well. So, you know, but not even so much as the only acknowledgement I got seemed anger. I mean, as I said, I don't speak whatever language it was. I don't like to assume. But yeah, nothing. No thank you. No nodding. No acknowledgement of any kind. Only when I threw them a little bit of a sarcastic jest, you know, they responded with anger. So, lovely couple. Wish them all the best. Wish them a very Merry Christmas, and they are cordially invited to ram that favour up their ass the next time I see them. We'll never see them again. But that leads me to the second happening of that night. So I've done that. The guy has had a bit of a chat to me. He's like, "Oh man, that was so nice of you. I can't believe how rude they were." I'm like, you know what, buddy? It doesn't matter. Just let me pay for my damn fuel. I don't want to be here. Like, in the nicest possible way. So I've gone home, you know, driving on my way home, still, you know, in my singlet, my workout gear. Just trained, for reference, just trained like a combination of chest and back. And anyone who knows about training will know that that combination of muscle groups swells you up like a zeppelin. It makes you look enormous. Like, even if you're not a bigger dude or gal, once you've trained those two things at once for a decent amount of time, you are going to look big. Like, that's just how it is. And usually, when I'm in my apartment building, there are 8 apartments in my apartment building, right? It's only 2 floors. It's not a big mega complex. Pretty familiar with everyone in there. And although I never talk to any of them, I've had like one instance where I sat down and talked to sort of one of them, and it was about like getting into, because my apartment's on the top, getting into the top floor and putting in an aerial for their cable. So, you know, when we don't get in each other's way. And there's a lot of different ethnicities in my apartment building for a building with 8 little apartments in it. Anyway, I get back there, and I'm not usually showing this much skin in my apartment complex. I'm usually either wearing a baggy shirt or like a jumper or like my scrubs, like right now. But I'm wearing a pretty, you know, risque, shall we say, singlet. And as I said, you know, beyond my control, the lats and the chest, they were out. So I'm walking into my apartment building, and I unlock the door from the garage, and I hear there's someone on the staircase. I'm like, yep, all right, no problem. I'll just walk straight past them. As I'm walking up the stairs, I see this family of Middle Eastern people who live on the top floor near me, who are incredibly rude. Again, it's coming back to rude people. But once again, I don't like to get too uptight about it because, to be honest, they don't speak a whole lot of English from what I've gathered. So I might be missing something culturally. I might be the rude one, so I never like to assume those sorts of things. But every instance where I've associated with them or had anything to do with them, they have been unbelievably rude. So this instance actually was not one of them. This was just funny. So I walking up there and I see that they have like a clown car apartment there. There is like, I swear they've got double-digit people living in there. Like every time they walk out, I see a new gaggle of people. Anyway, I see the person that I'm going to assume is the mother, and I wasn't looking up. I was just looking like, you know, up enough to see the step that I was about to step on. So I've noticed her out of my periphery, and I thought, oh yeah, she's the only one coming down the stairs. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I've looked up at her to give her like that cordial, like, you know, that little smile, that, you know, the nod of acknowledgement. Anyway, I've looked up and smiled at her. She's looking at me, like staring at me, like she's seen the most offensive thing she's ever seen in her life. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm pretty pale, but, you know, calm down. Like, not everyone can be naturally tan, you know. Some of us were born this way, bloody Irish and Scottish heritage. But she's looking at me like in shock. It was like this. It was like, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to assume this is because I'm in a singlet and like shorts, and that, as I said, I don't like to culturally assume, but that is somehow unacceptable, you know. Also, the fact I was like 3 times the size I usually am because I just finished working out like the biggest muscles in your upper body probably helped. But anyway, she's looking shocked. She actually broke her walking stride. She stopped and looked at me, and I've just been like, okay, you know what? I've unintentionally offended this family again. Whatever. I can't seem to do anything, right? I'm just going to keep walking. Anyway, behind her, right? It was like a, but by the end of it, honestly, by the time I passed the entire procession of them that had been on the staircase, it was more like a funeral procession than anything else, because they had all just gone silent and staring at me, but not in the like, oh, he's so like, you know, fit and this. It was like disgust. It was repulsion, like offense at a very visceral and visual level. And I thought this was quite funny. So I'm walking up there, and it's like you know, in movies where that sort of family lives with their elderly yet completely not removed from the motherland grandmother who doesn't speak any English, always dresses in black sort of baggy clothes with like a little hood on and stuff like that. They've got one of them. That, like, no joke, like straight out of a bloody Steven Spielberg drama. Like, Steven Spielberg? I don't think he directed, but straight out of a movie. They've got one of those like elderly women. And anyway, I'm going to assume she's the mother of either the husband or the wife. That's a pretty logical thing to say. I don't think I'm offending anyone there. Anyway, she's walking down behind, just shuffling down there, and she sees me, and it's, and I sort of look up and smile again. At this point, I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? And she looks at me, and she looks back at the dude who's standing up there, who I didn't know who she was looking back at the start. As I say, I'm like eyes front, aside from acknowledging the fact that they're there. And she says something once again, I get real sick of people using anything other than English to talk about me. That's getting really annoying, but it's over now. So, but she says something. I have no idea what she says. And the guy didn't react, so I didn't even, know who it was or what he was doing. But she said, and then just keeps walking. She stopped again, much like the mother did. Anyway, I'm walking up there, continue walking, and I look up to meet the gaze of of the second last person in this giant progression of people. This is like, keep in mind, this is like 8:30 at night, right? They're going down there, and as I said, I was starting to think, oh my god, these people are so offended by like what I'm wearing. I must be, I'm surprised that the woman didn't pass out. I'm thinking to myself in my head, I'm like, oh my goodness. Then almost on cue, the father, I'm going to assume he's the father, the guy who is of middle age, was staring at me, not walking, just staring at me, like real, like this. And in his arms, he had a child that was quite obviously asleep, right? This child was very young. It was a young girl, but it wasn't a toddler, it was a child. And it was, later-ish at night. So the child was obviously asleep. And they weren't like rushing down the stairs like it was a medical emergency. So I can assume that they were just taking her somewhere. But she was asleep in like the most ungraceful way that made it appear like she had just fainted at the sight of me. Right? So she was and at this point, I as I said, it was like a funeral procession. It was like, oh my god, like people openly fainting. And I'm like, so obviously there's not that much of cultural shock involved, but holy crap, that was the point at which I started laughing, like not aloud, but that kind of laugh that shakes your whole body, which must have looked to them like I was having some sort of like a demonic possession episode. So I just started motoring up the stairs. I was like, this is unbelievable. I'm having such an amazing cross-cultural night. The last person in the procession is the sort of maybe like 16 to 18 year old son. And the 16 or 18 year old son looks dead at me and just goes, hey. And I was like, how you doing, buddy? I didn't say this next part, but thank God there was someone who was just like, yep, absolutely, whatever, this is normal. So I have a feeling that he was born here because he had that Aussie, relaxed vibe about him. I don't have any problem with that family, but oh my god, the polarization of those reactions was absolutely ridiculous. And after what I just dealt with at the service station, dealt with at the service station, it was a real interesting night all around. Nothing very substantial happened, but still, it should have just been go to the service station, pay for your fuel, go home, walk up the stairs, jump in your bed, be lazy. But no, it wasn't. And that leads me to right now, where I am going to work, and my Santa ugly Christmas romper has been delivered. So most likely, when you guys see me next, I will be sporting said ugly Christmas romper, which was supposed to arrive in time for the Christmas party, but it didn't, so I'm going to make the most of it now. And I'm thinking about doing a little workout in it and getting some footage of that, so that should be fun. And in between now and then, I guess I'll go see some patients, huh? Go be a real person. Go do my job, my legally protected and mandated job, eh? But anyway, 2 days before Christmas, T-minus just over 48 hours until jolly old Saint Nick, my brother, estranged but still related, delivers you all some presents. So enjoy that, and I'll see you next time. Well, alright, just finished doing that dentist thing for the last day of the year, so yay me. And people go crazy to try and get their teeth fixed, by the way, like this close to the end of the year. Like if they know that there's going to be no other opportunity, all of a sudden those problems that they've had for like 12 months, they come like last Christmas they broke a tooth, but they have to have it fixed 5 minutes before this Christmas. That happens all the time. But anyway, I said that I would probably be wearing an ugly Santa romper. And the thing is, I fully intended on doing that. But halfway through my day, my big boss comes down, and he's wearing one of those inflatable, those like suits that make you look enormous that the people got famous dancing around on YouTube with, that like Vine that went around for a while. He's wearing like a Santa themed version of one of those. And you know, there was no context to that when I originally saw it, so I was like, oh, okay. He didn't have any patience today, so it was just like, I was like, oh, must be like a Christmas thing. He does kind of the videos for the company and stuff like that, you know, all the companies these days trying to be like, you know, real kind of with the times and kind of socially like acceptable with the young people and trendy and cool, edgy, all that sort of stuff. So I think he was doing some sort of videos, and then he got wind. He heard tell that I had this Santa romper, and all of a sudden barges through the door. Come on, Nick, we're putting that on, which I don't mind. You know, I don't mind doing any of that stuff. I honestly don't care. And you know, it's funny. Everyone has a good laugh. You know, he exposes it to his, you know, business or social media, and you're always going to get people, like, regardless of what you do on social media, you're always going to get people who are going to be like, wow man, that was really stupid and I hate you for no particular reason. And then you're going to get like 90% of people who are going to love it. So I'm always up for anything like that. And so I've said, you know what, yeah, I'll put this on. We'll do a little video like related to like dentistry, teeth, Merry Christmas kind of stuff. So I'll put it on now, and because I still have it with me here. It's here. And so I stick that on. We do a little like promotional video thing. He's got his nurse in there, and she's, you know, pretending to be an elf, all this sort of stuff. And then I was like, yep, cool, excellent. We all had a laugh. Everyone at work had a laugh at how ridiculous the romper was. And then I go to take it off because I got patience to see, right? And I'm not going to see him dressed in a Santa romper, you know, which is obscenely tight across the upper body, and then obscenely short on the lower body. It was, yeah, that triple XL China sizing though. So anyway, I've got to take it off, right? And I realized I was in the bathroom at my practice. And I was in the bathroom there, and I was like, hold on a second. This is a like button up from the front kind of deal where you have to like, okay, so I'd never put on a romper before. This may have been like common knowledge to people who go around in rompers all the time, but like you have to put like one arm in and then the other arm in, or both arms at once, and then like put it on and do it up. Because it was so tight across my like upper body, I couldn't get it off. Like I was in that bathroom for like 30 minutes. Like trying to get that thing off. It like took my entire lunch break to get that thing off, and I was working up quite the sweat trying to get this thing up. It was ridiculous. I was getting like, I never knew I was this flexible. I was getting like this arm up behind that, like just behind my back, up behind the sleeve, trying to pull it all the way down. Oh, it was chaos. It was chaos, absolute chaos. I was considering going and getting my nurse to help me out of the romper. That's how bad it was. So, needless to say, when I finished work today, I was like, you know what? I would put this on and go to the gym and train it. But then when I needed to take it off, I 100% don't want to go through that 30-minute voyage again. And not to mention, I'm supposed to be doing like a little bit of bench and maybe some like arm accessory training at gym. So, okay, that person just beat me. So this is just a pipe dream, like, because that would make all the parts it's already tied on even tighter, and it'd be impossible. I'd lose all my flexibility. It'd be chaos. I'd need the jaws of life. I'd need to be cut out of that sumbitch. So needless to say, it's now resting beside me rather than on me, and that's not to say that I won't be putting it on again, because I definitely will be. But it's going to be in an area where I know that I have a support team around me that, if need be, can take to me with a set of scissors. You know, that's really all it comes down to. So I'm sorry to disappoint you there. That being said, it is really close to Christmas still, so that's still something. And I did just finish work, so that's also still something. And this watch that I bought yesterday is growing on me, so that's probably, you know, making you even more excited. And hey, 2 days till Christmas. Peace out.